today's going to be interesting because we kind of get this question often
We
about,
do.
how we put together our Swatch fans. And it's kind of,
Right.
it seems like a simple question, but there's actually a lot of in-depth
I know.
thinking that goes around it.
That's true. And additionally, this week we got some questions about there are a lot of different color systems. Color Me Beautiful has done the 12 palette system. Color Me Beautiful in the UK does the 6 palette system. There are people who do 16 palettes. And we settled on the 12 palette system, or I'm sorry, the 4 palette system, because it's basically kind of all the information you need. I mean, you can go off into nuances, but with this gets you the right makeup, it gets you the right colors, you kind of understand. And so that's why we stick with it. But what I prepared for you today, Sarah, is it'll show how people can veer off into the different systems and get more in depth with their color information. So it's going to be a good show.
Mm-hmm. And while we have some of you guys joining us, we just want to give a few shout outs to Amy. Good morning to you, and Joanne. Hello. It's so happy to have you guys on here. We're glad you're here. We're happy. We're everything.
We're
happy.
Lucky.
Thank you for joining us.
Well, we're going to have a little lesson. I hope you guys are okay with this in color theory. You may already know it, but I need to start here because some of you may not know it. So understanding the magic of color and why it works so well starts with understanding a little bit about color. And the first thing that we need to know about color is that color, there are different nuances to color. There's certainly the primary colors. Those are like they're called hue. So if you look at the outer part of this ring I prepared, those are hues. And basically, when you call something a color, red, blue, green, that's what you're describing, the hue. And then if you add white to that, it becomes a tint of that color, meaning it's a nuance of that color, but it still doesn't have the intensity of the color. It's a lighter version of the color, if you will. And then a tone is something that you see when you add gray. So the third ring in this color wheel is what happens to a color when you add gray. And then the shade, what we're calling the shade, is what happens to a color when you add black. And I know you're sitting out there thinking to yourself, well, what does this really have to do with my color fan, or, so forth. But here's how it all comes together to make sense. At Color Me Beautiful, we do the 4 seasons. And in the 4 seasons, each season has 2 elements. And we've talked to you guys about this probably till you're like blue in the face and you don't care. But I'm going to say it again. Each season has 2 elements. So if you're talking about a spring, that would be warmth. It's on the warm side of the color wheel. Notice that left side of the color wheel. And it's light. It's on the lighter side, right? If you're talking about winter, you're on the cool side of the color wheel. And it's a bolder kind of version of what you're seeing. So it's on the cool side. And the hair color that goes with this is deep. So whereas the spring is warm and the hair color is light, on the winter side, it's cool and the hair color is deep, which kind of makes them opposite. But what they have in common is that they both can wear bolder shades of bolder hues, right? And then the other season that we have to refer to is Sarah's season. And that's when you have warm hair, red or gold in your hair, and you're on the deeper side. It's not light. You wouldn't call Sarah's hair light, right? You'd call her deep. So that puts her in autumn. And the autumn colors are softer than the spring colors because she has less contrast than a spring would, with everything that's going on. So they're softer, but they're warm, just like a spring. And that leaves me. I am a cool season, but I'm light. And if you're light and cool, you are also a softer season. We're sister seasons. That's what we have in common. We're both softer. But because I'm light and cool, that makes me kind of the opposite of an autumn, which is deep and warm. So having said that, what I thought we could do is look at color, because basically when we put together a color fan, we look at a gazillion colors. And any one of the three, Sarah, you can bring up, because they're, whether we're comparing clear and soft or warm and cool, any one of those would work.
Okay, so I grabbed clear and
So
soft to take a look at.
Perfect. So when you're looking at color and you're looking at a plethora of color, when your hue is pure, it's what we describe as clear. Some people can call it bold or whatever, but it's truer to the hue that you see in the color wheel that I showed you. And if you look right down the center row, that tends to be the purest and the closest thing to a primary color. Now, remember what we just learned. As we go up, if you're looking at the one on top, you're looking at shades. You're getting to shades. You go through tones and you get to shades. And if you're looking down, you're looking at tints, right? So that of the bolder palette, of the color wheel that you're looking at that's bold, those are your options, right? And then if you're looking at the colors that are soft, what you're seeing is something closer to the bottom. You still have the main colors across the center, but your tints aren't as bold and your shades aren't as delineated. They kind of all look like they are a similar color. So clear and soft represents two of our seasons, and one season would be, for soft, would be autumn and summer, and clear represents winter and spring. So just kind of keep that in your head, and we can look at a different comparison of color.
Okay, so next one I'm going to go ahead and grab is going to be, let's do light and deep.
Very good. So and another thing that we look at is whether a color is deep or whether it's light. And basically the way the color graphs work out, it's kind of interesting to look at these, because you see there's kind of an arc where the colors are going when they go deep. It's a phenomenon that that in that center swivel, you'll see a kind of a deeper curve than you see on either side with the reds. And in the lighter colors, it all kind of goes pastel. I'm going to make a point here, I promise. Once we get through all these, it'll all make sense to you, honestly.
All right, and then last but not least, we have warm and cool.
Warm and cool. Now, again, that's one of the factors that we look at, in hair. And so we also look at it in color. Now, do you see a theme happening here? Basically, as we're looking at hair and we're saying, like you're looking at Sarah and you're saying, well, she's warm and she's deep. There are palettes that we're showing you that represent both, right? Here you have a warm palette and a cool palette. Now, that is not to say that the shades are different. You see the reds, just a shift. The cooler reds on the left-hand side, just a shift. The blues, again, just a shift. So if you look at the strip across the right-hand side, it shows you how much warmer the warm is than the cool palette. But again, some of those colors aren't that far apart. And that gives us our universal colors. We've talked about this before. Watermelon, everybody can kind of wear watermelon. Certain turquoise, everybody can wear it. And there's a purple that everybody can wear. And why is that? Because in this warm and cool chart, you see that when you shift from warm to cool, those don't really change all that much. And looking at it this way, it's really kind of remarkable. I'm like a color geek. I love it. What I thought we could do is show you what comprises each season. So pick a season, Sarah.
Because Mary's on here, I figure we should do spring first.
Okay. Now, what you're seeing here is warm, because Mary and all you springs out there, you're warm. But you also are seeing part of the clear palette. Now, you're asking yourself, why does it have that shape? And it's really fascinating that it has that shape, because when we're looking at seasons, basically what you have is areas in these palettes that I've put up that go muddy. And so when they go muddy, that indicates to us, not really a color that a spring can wear. So these gaps that you see represent what had to be removed because it basically just went gray. right? And so I'm teaching you how we choose what's in a palette or in a color wheel. Because there are only 48 colors in the color wheel, we have to pick and choose. We have to go representative. So you won't see all these colors in a color fan, but you'll see what you need, because as you can see, some of these nuances are really faint. But it also will give you an idea of, hey, I can, I've got some latitude. I've got this one kind of orange color in my palette, but look at that. I've got some latitude and I can go with the coral. So basically, this is what you see, and scientifically what we use to determine your color fan if you're spraying.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I want to make sure we will make each of one of these seasonal colors available for you. We'll drop them in the comments after we get off, just so you don't have to worry about screenshotting it or anything. We can get you the image.
And the other thing that I need to let you know is, in the color fan that we prepare for you, there will be your best neutral. What we don't have here are, well, you see a little bit of it on the sidebar, but we do the same thing, the same exercise we go through for neutrals. And those will be in your color fan, because we're designing these to be practical. So we also include your metal, what your best metal is. So that's it. And I'm seeing Marguerite just came through with a question that I probably should address right now. In your color fan, you may see emerald turquoise. Now, the emerald turquoise shows up just about in the middle of this illustration, right? But if you notice, if you move your eyes straight down from the emerald turquoise, there is some more turquoise that you can wear. And if you move it up, you can wear a darker shade. That's fine too. And in some respects, it is representative. And in some respects, it's based on the trends of the season. Our digital color fans, we change to incorporate seasonal trends, but that seasonal trend has to be dealt with in this way for each season.
All right, so now that we've done spring, do we want to stay with warms, or should we hop over to a different?
I will let you decide.
All right, let's see. I'm just going to pick at random, which is winter.
Winter.
So I love looking at winter.
I know you do. So winter is a season that is bold, right? And it's a season that is cool. With your hair is dark. So you can wear bold because you've got lots of contrast between your hair and your face. And you wear these clear jewel tone colors. Well, what happens is, when we're looking at these shades, there's a whole pathway in the winter palette that really goes muddy when you're looking at it this way. And that is the oranges, the burnt oranges, the mustards, the golds. So voila, they're out. They go away. You do have kind of a citron green, if you notice, but notice how beautifully it fits into that arc. And you have pastels that you can wear. Again, they fit into the arc. They're kind of on that continuum on the lower range. And then your jewel tones right through the middle. And some of these, in terms of, this is a bold, clear palette, and it's also on the bottom, it's a cool palette. But look at where they transect, and some of them match. And that, again, is how we determine what goes into a winter palette. And you have some things happening over on the right-hand side with the red. Normally, there would be like a vivid red in your winter palette. And so we leave that little sliver that would normally be on the warm side in the palette because it's so bold. And that is, in fact, the winter. And I see two questions here that I'd love to address right now. And that is it typical that not every color in your fan is perfect for you? Sometimes that happens, and I'll tell you why. Because with a winter, you may have we look at something called dominant characteristics. And this gets into the 12 palette system, but basically it answers your question. You may be one of those characteristics that is very deep. Deep is one of the characteristics. Or clear. You may be like Courtney Cox, where your hair is really black and your skin is really pale and you are very clear. Or you may be somebody who's extremely cool. All of the things that make up your palette, your color wheel, you may live on the outer fringes of. And that may be why something might not look as good on you as something else. And what we're trying to do is be as directionally perfect as possible. And I can tell you, once somebody gets their color fan, even if a shade or two is not like their favorite, it changes their world. I don't need to tell you guys this. So that is the answer to that question.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to make sure that everyone kind of noticed those icy colors down towards the bottom, because that's something winters tend to forget, that they can wear icy shades. Like icy violet is in your color palette. And there's a good amount of icy colors that winters can wear. So this really puts it in, and it's a great representation of it.
And I think it's important to remember that the color fan is designed to be a usable working tool for you. So we recognize that there may be instances where you need to wear a blouse under a suit, and you may be rocking this beautiful deep teal suit, and you may want to do something conservative and do a white or off-white blouse. You have those options in your fan, and we do that with every season.
Mm-hmm. All right, so don't forget, do not worry. For anyone who's wondering how do they get these, we will put them in the comments down below after we hop off. So next one, let's grab, since we just did, we did warm, cool, let's go back to warm, which autumn.
Oh, of course you did. So this is kind of cool, because on the top you have warm colors and on the bottom you have soft colors. Autumn is a combination of the warm and the soft. Now, the first thing you see is where they intersect. There's some that are just identical, right? Mm-hmm. And then others, they're on the fringes. So they may be something you didn't think about, like purple is something that an autumn can wear. And Sarah, you should address this. What do you think of this palette? Is there anything that you, and what we do is we blend a combination of the soft and the warm, so that you have both characteristics. And why is that important? Because of harmony. Sarah has warm hair. She has a softness about her, so that there's not a lot of contrast going on. And so we make sure that they're colors that are harmonious with her personal color landscape.
Mm-hmm. And Linda pretty much just summed up everything I could possibly say with autumn rules.
Of course she did. Mm-hmm. But anyway, what you see here, does it resonate with you? Do you feel that that this is answering some of those questions about how we actually put the color together?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is like the perfect description to kind of give you the idea of how each shade is pulled and the difference between, why there is a couple different greens and how do they each look, and how they differ in the shades and the tones of them. So, and
to the question about, well, is if I find a shade in my color fan that I don't like, do I need to wear it? No, because for example, Sarah's hair has less hue than some redheads. There are some auburn that are just really red. Now, what would we say about them? We would say they are warmer. So think warm, soft, deep. They are warmer than Sarah. So they might gravitate to what you see up top. And then somebody soft like Sarah might tend to like herself better in what you see on the bottom. Mm-hmm. And Deborah has a question for you, Sarah. How do you autumns live without pink? They don't have to. Remember, we tell you don't have to live without anything. Mm-hmm. They have coral and salmon and beautiful warm pinks. Mm-hmm. They just can't have cool pink. Yeah, it's more, instead of a bubblegum pink, we have more of a orangey based pink. So it is hard to find a pink, but as an autumn, when you do find the right pink, it's amazing. It's like I have this one pink dress that's in my season, so it's more of an orangey salmon type pink, but it's one of my favorite colors, and it's hard to find, but it's really awesome when you can get something that's in your shade. Also, if you find your power color,
Mhm.
Your wardrobe, like I will speak to Sarah's wardrobe.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
was gonna say half of it. I don't even green. Half of my wardrobe is green. That's
mhm.
about it. Green
And
and like an orange.
when I shop for gifts, and this is another way that the color fan is so essential. If you're shopping for a gift and you go through, take the color quiz for a friend, go look at the color boutique and it will tell you what you need to buy them as far as a gift, sweater, whatever. But with Sarah, it's easy. Olive drab. If
Mhm.
I can find whatever, a dress, a sweater, a jacket, an anorak, if I can find it in an olive drab color, she will love it.
Yeah, we tend to all gravitate towards our favorites and our power colors. So it's good to have be able to experiment, but at the end of the day, once you start figuring out the colors that really just give you the compliments and people really say you look amazing in, you tend to just gravitate towards them, and it's just the top of your search. And I guess I've never really thought about some of these other colors. I thought I don't tend to wear a lot, just because it's not something that I never really have ever said. I love the color pink. I've never really liked that color. It's because it's not it's not part of my
Perhaps
palette.
because you didn't get compliments in it when
Yeah.
you wore it.
Yeah. So
And
I've never been a pink person. I've never been like a bright red person. I've always gone towards warm colors. And I think that's just because they don't look good on me. And
I have a question for you, Sarah. Is there anything you see up here in this palette that you wouldn't wear?
um
Because I have something in mind,
uh
and it's in the bright palette,
some of those blues maybe.
in the warm palette. I was thinking the yellows in the that are tints in the warm palette up top might not be something that you would. I don't think I've ever seen you in that.
Yeah, I think that's hard to find, but I love yellow. So when I do find a mustard or anything along those lines, I immediately snatch it up. But yellow is a hard color to find within your season. It has to be the right yellow because
Yes, like when we showed the winter yellow, and it has to have that. It has to be sharp. It has to be crisp, and it's got to be that green. It's got to have the green edge to it.
Right. So I tend to find yellows being a really hard color to shop for. So when I do find something that I know is in my palette, then I go for it. But I don't tend to have too much yellow.
Yeah. Do we want to look at another season?
Yes, and we saved the best for last.
We've done 3 seasons. Oh my gosh, time is going so fast.
I know. And
I
last
love to hear myself talk. This is like one of my favorite things. I was like, ah.
And this is like the definition of summer. I mean, whenever I think of a summer palette, this is all these shades, these colors, this is it right here.
Now, what did we do here? We took the muted colors, that full range of muted colors, and we took the full range of cool colors. And now we start looking for commonalities and where the cool and the muted or the dusty intersect. And those are the colors that we make available to you in your color fan. So this is what I would wear. And it's funny because I'm sitting here and thinking, oh, my background is like so bad. But my shirt is it's right there.
Yeah, as you could pull the color of your shirt straight out of your palette.
Now, I will say that again, the summer characteristics: cool, soft, and light. Basically, any of you summers out there, and a lot of you have written me, and summers rock too. By the way, Linda. Those of you who've written me, there are a lot of different summers. Some are really cool. Some are soft like me. And some are super light. They may have, I was talking to a summer yesterday who was very light and really had to go with things that are up in the cooler palette because the dusty palette tended to look grayed out on her. When you're very, very light, you need to think transparent color, not, dusty color. So this method it is tried and true. And if you notice, all those colors that Sarah loved have disappeared from this palette because they just go completely muddy when you're looking at, like, for example, there was the whole color palette that I showed you. Now, in order to do this, we shift it toward cyan and blue so that it becomes cooler. When we do that, and I probably should have done a slide of this, all of those warm colors in the middle turn to mud, right? Because what we have done is we've mixed the complements to yellow and orange with it. Now, how many of you guys did finger painting as kids? I paint today, but I don't use tempera. But what happens is, if you want to make gray, what do you mix together? A color and its complement, red and green, yellow and purple, orange and blue, and you will get flat out gray. So when we cooled this palette, what happened? It turned to mud. And that is why we know what to eliminate from the summer palette, because we looked at the characteristics, we looked at the palettes, we found commonalities, and we eliminated the mud. Simple.
Yeah, we got so many comments on the summer palette. Let's see. Seems like the summer palette is the most limited.
Well, you know what? Maybe I because I can't wear yellow. I hate yellow. No offense to you yellow lovers out there, none at all. I promise you. But when I'm saying I hate yellow, I'll paint with it. I just don't wear. Orange, death. Orangey reds, not so much. But think about this. This is limited. What you see here is limited. You don't see a lot of color, right? And you don't see a lot of contrast. And unless I'm careful, my face can blend right into my hair. And what I do, the reason that I do what I do, is I wear clothing that helps me create the frame so that I don't get lost in one big faceless blob.
And we got another comment that I wanted to bring up. My wardrobe is mostly purple and mauve, which is great as a newly confirmed summer. And it's funny because we talk about how we tend to gravitate towards our colors. So it's those colors that we get the compliments on, we feel better in, we think we look better in, and we look healthy and rested and younger in. So we tend to gravitate towards our colors.
Yes, but tomorrow, as an old time summer, I think how long have I had gray hair, Sarah? Like 20 years?
I don't know.
Yeah, like forever. When I was really young, my hair was Sarah's color, and then all of a sudden, it was this. I love this, by the way, but what you see here is the opportunity to wear things like teal. You don't have to totally get into your mauves or your purples, which are beautiful, but you can branch out. You can wear a little turquoise if you're feeling crazy. Or I love that deep teal color. I love it.
And I saw a quick little comment. It was, I can't find it anymore, but it was about neutrals. Neutrals are not on here. So it was about gray.
It was Sherry. I saw it and I wanted to address it. She said you thought gray was a summer color. It is. But what we did, we thought that we were getting I was worried that you guys would just glaze over and say, what are they talking about? What, So I didn't get into how we select the neutrals. And that could be another segment if you guys want it, and you write us and say, hey, keep going. Tell us how you select the neutrals. But there are the neutrals we did not address, but you certainly get them in your color fan and your digital color palette.
All right, I'm so sorry. We have so many comments popping up right now. Marguerite, always loved blues and pinks, summer through and through. Yeah. See, I'm the opposite.
Summer does rock.
I'm just going to sit over here and smile and nod about your blues and pinks.
Think about this. Christmas is coming up. First of all, you should get anybody you think would really love it, a color fan, because it is the gift that goes on giving 365 days a year. If that's not, what you had in mind, just if you're buying clothing for somebody, just go find out what season they are and look at the fan. The fan is online. You can see it. It's not a secret. And make sure that when you get them something, it's, they always make fun of the sweater that grandma knitted in the chartreuse color, which Sarah would be the only person, you Autumns would be the only person who would like it. But again, make sure you get them something in their season, because all year long they can wear it. And every time somebody says, you look great, they think of you.
It really is true. We gravitate towards what we love and what we look good in, the compliments we get. So,
and think about this. We haven't even gotten into makeup, and makeup is yet another whole avenue of when we develop a color and what we are looking at and whether it's sheer. I mean, think about this. A cream lipstick, you choose color differently than you do a sheer lipstick or a gloss. Why is that? Because we have to anticipate that the color of your lips is going to come through and modify that color. So when we select a lip color for a winter, we have to consider that fact. The same is true of blush. When we select a blush for a summer, it's got to have enough coolness that on the skin, which everybody's skin is tan or brown, some on the spectrum between palish tan, the palest tan ever, to brownest, darkest brown. And somewhere in there is skin tone. And we have to consider that we're not looking at pure color like you put on a piece of white paper. We're looking at color that sits on a face. And it's fascinating and fun.
Let's scroll through these comments one last time. I want to make sure we hit everyone's questions. So we do have Amy saying, yes, we got to do a show on neutrals.
Yes, ma'am.
Kim, your compliment color is pink. So it sounds like your power color is pink. If I'm hearing that correctly. I thought gray, yeah.
Yep.
Tamara is saying, those light, bright mint colors don't work for me even as a summer. That's interesting because
I know why. I bet you are very cool. Remember, the three things that kind of change all of our summers into kind of different creatures: being cool, being soft, being light. You probably are on the cool and the light side, and even the little bit of yellow that shifts into those blues doesn't do it for you. It's fascinating, right? And Amy's questioning power color. And what Sarah means by power color is the color that you gravitate to, that you never worry is going to look good on you. The one that when you put it on, you feel like $1 million, and people say, you look wonderful. They do not say that's a pretty color. They say, you look fantastic. That is your power color.
Mm-hmm. Mine happens to be a yellowy, olivey green. You
can put up the autumn again and show them.
Yeah.
If you want.
Yeah, why not? We got time. All right, let's see. So here we go. Here's the autumn. So it's the green that's in between where it goes yellow to green. It's just an olivey type of color. That's my power color.
And notice it shows up in both of these almost identically. It shows up in both of these. One is soft and one is warm and pushed to warm. You can see that by the little gray dots on the side. On the top, they look kind of brown. That's because this is a warmer palette. And on the bottom, it's not made warmer, but it's soft, which is also a characteristic. What she's saying is that corridor that goes right up between the greens and the reds, that's her power spot.
And I think yours tends to be almost like a teal, I would say like a medium teal. Right in between. It's not too deep. It's not too.
And you know what? I think she's saying that because every article in my wardrobe is probably that color.
If we all gravitate towards it, it's okay. We all do it.
Yeah, I know. Amy, I believe I have your photos handy. We're going to spend some time with you. She said that her eyes are golden. They are olive because I was looking at Amy's photos yesterday. She was kind enough to send us photos, and she has amazing coloring. The photo that she sent yesterday, I believe, had black hair. And then I think I have another one where she's a redhead, but her eyes are really olive. And so I want to spend some time with her digitally because sometimes when a customer sends us their photo and they're an anomaly, and I mean that in a good way, Amy, I like to work with what I see. And so I'm going to spend a little more time on you, which brings me to the point. If you guys have questions or if you want more information or you need some help with something, send us an email. Our email address is Sarah and Lucinda, SaraAndLucinda @gmail.com. We set it up kind of as a bat email where it's just your emails and nobody else's. And I let me apologize in advance. it may take me a while to get to you because we get a lot of emails from these videos. I mean, more than we ever dreamed. But I want to make sure everybody gets help and gets information. And with Amy, she may be one of our shows coming up. We have been known to take customer pictures that they send us and do some digital work with them and show them on these videos. And as long as you let us know that you have no problem with us using your photos, that may be something that you'd like to see and something our viewers would love to see. This may be a good time to answer a question that I got this week. And that was, a lady says, what's the best way to use my digital swatches? How do you do it? And Sarah, you gave such an excellent explanation.
Oh yeah, I bring it up on my computer and compare the colors based off I mean, most of my shopping is online, especially now. I haven't been to a store in a very long time, but everything I do is digital now. So I just bring it up next to where I'm shopping and I have both open. I can compare the two colors and I don't have to worry about it being right or wrong or difference in lighting and things like that.
Here's what's really beautiful about that. I mean, crazy beautiful is that every monitor is different. All you guys, even though you can calibrate it, you can look at all these different calibrations for your monitor, they're different. And here's how monitors shift. They either shift toward magenta or cyan, which is kind of a turquoise color, or yellow, or, they can shift a little bit to black. So you might be looking at a color on the screen and you're thinking, I think that's in my season, but your monitor may be telling you a lie. And this lady who sent in the question, she was really savvy, and I give her credit for it. This company that she was looking at, this top, it was not cheap, so it was an investment, and they called it heathered gray. And she had her color fan, her Swatch, her digital color fan, and she was like, I'm looking at this. She sent it to me, and wanted my opinion, and it says heathered gray, but it looks more like my sky blue chip. And the seller obviously had made a mistake because this shirt was more toward blue for everybody who was looking at it than it was toward heathered gray. And she was able to see with her digital palette, maybe not so much. And it cuts right through the whole business of the monitor looking pink or the monitor looking blue. And let's face it, you guys, when we're on our phones at night, they change the light on us. Have you ever noticed that they actually change what you're seeing? And the other thing I did want to mention, Sarah downloads a PDF viewer so that she can also do it on her phone, because you may be shopping on your phone and you want to bring that up. So they are handy dandy right now.
Yeah, I highly recommend the digital Swatch Fan. And if you just hop on over to Color Me Beautiful and go to the Swatch Fans, they're all available for download. We even have we don't have our new ones out yet, but we do have our spring summer ones. We hope to see you guys on Monday and have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you later.